Amanda will be introducing identity runners. Hello, Amanda.
Hey, Camillo, thanks for that lovely introduction. I'm really excited to be here introducing identity runners, and I'm going to share a couple of slides just to give a little context for the exhibition that this program is taking place. That this program is taking place within. Here we go. So here's an overview of what the exhibition looks like at the Centre for Book Arts. And we can see Francesca da Rimini's installation, second to your left on the screen, the monitor and the pedestal. The exhibition includes work by Adrienne Watzel, Chloe Bass, Lenny Silverberg, Susan Weil, and Francesca. And the piece of work that we're showing and here's a picture of me and of Camillo, looking like we all look in New York these days. We're in public spaces, so it's nice, even though we're online, to see one another's whole faces instead of just eyes, which is still standard practice here in New York. So this is Camillo in front and I in front of the exhibition wall text. And then Camillo here is with Francesca's installation. Francesca's installation is a piece called Ghost Fields that she made in the year 2000, I believe. It was undertaken during a residency in a Slovenian artist Marko Peljan's Macro Lab, which was situated on Rottnest Island off the coast of Perth in Western Australia, and was part of the exhibition called Home, curated by Trevor Paglan and Trevor Smith and Thomas Mulcair. So Trevor Smith and Thomas Mulcair curated an exhibition at the Art Gallery of Western Australia, and Home was included in it. In 2000, having a live feed from an external exhibition was kind of profound for those times. Here's another close-up of the installation of Francesca's web work, Ghost Fields, which included soundtrack by Michael Grimm. Importantly for this performance tonight, it also includes a series of zines which were made in collaboration with Diane, Ludin and Agnese Trocchi as part of their collaborative identity runners. And the swatch, here's another close-up of the installation. Francesca has also been doing an Etherpad writing during the course of the run of the exhibition, and I'll paste that in the chat shortly. Francesca, you're going to have to remind me of the update of the title of that show. It was called In the Fly, and Honor and I were flying, I imagined, but you've renamed that piece now.
Yeah, now it's called Tongues of Quickened Silver.
Tongues of Quickened Silver.
Yeah, Nonna Flying has emerged, is emerging into a separate book. So this is, and nice. I'm pasting almost every day.
Yeah. And you've done a lovely posting for today. I'm about to share that on Instagram shortly. And finally, here's a swatch of twigs and twine that were collected by Diane Ludin when as part of what she was doing as part of the collaboration, because I think one of the interesting things in Francesca's work is that including a bit of nature, including a bit of dirt in the machine is really important to a kind of technological arts practice. So I'm going to stop sharing now. Sorry, I'm confusing myself. So last week we did a curatorial walkthrough with Francesca, with Adrienne Watzel, Susan Weil, Lenny Silverberg and Chloe Bass, the artists in the exhibition, and I'll post a link to that in the chat shortly too. But what's particularly important in this for our presentation tonight is the fact that the installation itself includes the open source zines that Francesca developed in collaboration with the team Identity Runners. Identity Runners has existed also for about as long as the work in the exhibition. They've been collaborating since about 2000. I'm going to say. And tonight we're going to be listening, or this afternoon we're going to, or this morning, depends where in the world we all are. This morning we're going to be listening to an audio piece that that Identity Runners have developed with us. And we're also going to invite the audience, where you're interested in, to participate with us in an Etherpad text piece, which is the same platform that Francesca uses for her work in the exhibition, but a way of doing interesting collaborative online writing. So I'd like to hand over to Identity Runners. I believe Diane is going to give a little background to your work. Is that correct?
Yes. So we all met in 1998, I think it was. Both Francesca and Agnese had come through New York, and we were kind of circuiting around an artist-run internet service provider called The Thing. And at that time, they were trying to put together a cultural project. And we were all drawn to the alternative nature of it. And just found a kindred kind of aesthetic between the three of us. I was really drawn to Francesca's hypertext work that she had been building. I think it was called Doll Space. And it's a precursor to the project that's showing in the exhibition currently. And it affected me, and we were also, so we started writing together and doing performances with See You See Me at the time, and which was a video conferencing software before the days of Zoom and YouTube, ancient technology. We also did a residency at the World Trade Center before that was destroyed. And we've just been working together for 20 years. And I'm really grateful for their existence as women and as technologists. And yeah, so we were honored that Amanda invited us. So we put together a text that's hypertext of our thoughts, our daily experience, and some people that inspire us. And then Agnese did a beautiful podcast with sound effects from freesounds.org. And there'll be credits at the end of the podcast that Agnese is going to play for us. So I think it's time for you to go, Agnese. Yeah. Thank you.
Hello, thank you, Amanda, and thank you, Diane, and Camillo, and Center of Book Arts for this beautiful introduction. My role here now is to introduce another performer of tonight, which is the Etherpad, the pad, because we are going to listen together this audio podcast that is 16 minutes long. And we invite you during the listening to join the pad, which I'm now copy and pasting in the chat for you to go. You can join it now. And I will share my screen to give you a little walk through the pad to know better this technological companion. Okay. Now you can see the pad, right? Oh no, this one. Now you see welcome. Okay. So this is the pad. It's a collaborative writing tool. You can write any kind of text with other people, with your peers, with your friends, with people that you don't know, whoever has got the URL to reach this pad. This pad, this specific one, resides on the server of cisti.org. Cisti.org is in the north of Italy, in in Turin, and it's a server who is managed by a handful of hackers who believes that they want to get rid of the realm of the mega machine, the platforms that we use every day, and they create convivial digital space to enjoy the use and the being on internet, as we have been doing since 20 years with Francesca and Diane, that being so far away from each other, it's not easy to be together. So we can use the internet in this kind of way, even not only using the social, which is the difference from a social network, for example. Just to say one thing, this pad, it cares so much about your anonymity that it doesn't track you and it doesn't know who you are. You can join and you can choose to, if you go here on the right where the little people is, you can choose to write down your name as I did, or you can choose to be unnamed, so anonymous, or write a nick. Like some other people here, Ephemeral Liquidation did. So you are completely welcome to enjoy in the way that you prefer. What can you do? You can write. You can do whatever you want. And you see that you have a color. So if someone else writes as a different colors, with this tool, you can get rid of the colors. In this way, I select and I get rid of the color. And the very nice thing is also that nothing get lost. You can write whatever, and if someone delete it, it will be always possible to retrieve it, going back to the time slider here, where the little clock is. And from here, you can see, as in a screencast, whatever has been happening on the pad during its lifetime. The pad can live forever, but if no one writes on it for 60 days, so for 2 months, then it will destroy itself and it will be lost forever. So if you want to save it, you can click on these 2 little arrows and you can choose in which way to export it. Another important thing to keep in mind is that this is a safe space. It means that no one can reach this place unless they have the URL, the address. So it's up to us, the way in which we want to take care of this space, of share this space. If you link it to from a web page, then it will be visible for search engine. If you don't, then it will be not visible and it will be available only for people who get the link. So for us, it's I mean, it's a free tool, so it's up to what each of us want to do with it. So now that I will start sharing the audio and video file, I invite you to wear your headphones or have a good sound system to better experience the performance. And I also invite you to go to the pad, maybe on another window or your browser, and you can choose whatever you want to follow the script that it's here, to write in it, to change it, to add your words, to delete parts, or maybe just listen. So you are welcome to enjoy the experience exactly as you like. So I hope I've been clear enough regarding how to use the pad. If you have any question before we start, of course, you're welcome. In the meanwhile, I'll stop sharing. You can even write your question in the chat of Zoom if you have any. I will stop sharing the pad and I will share the podcast, 60 minutes of immersion.
Grace amounts to gifts of time spent giving room to speak.
Stories, when they happen on the nervous system, can translate the world back into tongues, an event that can help one stay in a body and in a life.
If the challenge is an opportunity to frame this, then a strong point of view is necessary. Else, you will find your reflections without purpose, illuminating questions on target.
Waking up from ancient dreams, I wonder, what is real? Someone has died, a sister. She's there, but not there. A slender ribbed shell. No cause and effect. You have to with the loops, often into dream. Dawn, 50 ravens in the field, one holds a fat worm in its beak. There is only frequency in the patterns it creates. Is our sister passing through the bird, through the worm, through the cypress and the eucalyptus, and into the sun rising over the ancestral giant?
If you are dressed as fire, then light and heat will be held within you. If you are dressed as blood, then you flow through a body's alleyways, big and small, then pressing rhythms without chasing them. Else, where does delicacy reside?
Once upon a time, delicacy and kindness were privileges. In the realm where I live now, they are the pillars of our society.
Here it is brutal, the heat, the harshness of truth, the defiant historical amnesia, scant kindness to build any pillars, yet enough shy pure acts that remind us how to be more than human.
If so much looking for qualitative systems, improvement will increase fidelity. Then design accelerators and problem framing and information architecture to stay optimized. Else, grace amounts to gifts of time spent giving room to speak.
In the swamp of class society, the swamp-filled darkness of repression, all human substance is petrified. Yet through the swamp, voices have risen. The end of the world was just the end of that world. Welcome, grace.
If the skies filled with storm and sun, then the rain was hard and quick like it is in springtime. Else the summer is known for its exploding skies.
We play with the ocean's waves, we gather in packs, hot lava flows through the frozen river. We watch in astonishment the beauty of this keen new world. Experimenting a moment which has yet arrived. The mind listening to a clear song. We attune our senses, recognizing river, mountain, ocean, tides, lightning, magnetic polarities, minerals. As kin we forgot in the swamp of class society. Learn to remember. Learn to foresee. Someone will remember us, we say, even in another time.
The light, hesitant, almost furtive at first, rises to its zenith, and the great stars that shone through the night grew pale and disappeared. Low on the horizon in the east, some light clouds are aglow, swimming in the golden green oceanic transparencies.
If the color changes
and the clouds gently pass, the winter sun is not soft or gentle.
then
A score for moving openings and obstacles. Else, what is there for fundamental pacing?
I was born after the great disaster. My sisters tell me we belong to a new breed. When I touch the devices of the past, rushes of pain run through my veins. The same siren wails at war and slavery. We count ourselves among those rebels who court storms, who hold that the only truth lies in perpetual seeking.
Strano, che raro. Everything must begin again. Great wind is sweeping the earth. The sun is about to rise.
We hope to bequeath to future generations a calculus of the nervous system.
Yesterday, 100 ravens on a shimmering green meniscus. Today, only 6 in loosely hinted pairs. Twigs, stones, reeds, and beaks and claws. Theirs is a world cawed into being each day. Before dawn's breath rouses the giant. No sadness here, just persistence. And rosewater cakes with ginger tea.
I've counted 100 nebula today, and this evening I saw an object which I believe will prove tomorrow night to be a comet. Today I calculated 150 nebula. I fear it will not be clear tonight. It has been raining throughout the whole day, but seems now to clear up a little. The object of last night is a comet.
We are looking at an old device from the times before. It's crusty and dirty, but the screen is still smooth and shining. A sleepless wind is raising, a sleepless song and sleepless heads in sleepless nights. The storm surrounds us. We open our mouths and sing into it. On our heads, elaborate diadems of iridescent shells, resembling the sheet lightning piercing the sea before us. As we sing, we become the storm, and the storm becomes us, smooth and shiny. I touch the shining screen, reflecting the lightning. A vibration runs through my skin. It feels bad again. Devices ask me to be relieved from her ancient pain. I accept the call.
No recuerdo mi nome, no soy di donde vengo.
Miro a mí misma en lo espejo y veo dos de mí, una gemella, però ella no es plata come me. En cambio ella è hecho de un colore raro, un colore que mis ojos no pueden reconocer.
I listen carefully to the voice speaking in the smooth device. It's talking about me and my sisters. So we are dreaming.
We pinch ourselves and laugh no closer to an answer. The future visits us in the present.
It hasn't been totally painless. Flames, smoke, rewilding, reworlding, but the Leviathan is doomed by cutting its wires of abuses and oppression. I turn on a transistor radio, relic of the recent past, to hear five sisters and brothers heralding the great planetary shift. Let the sunshine in. Song becomes medicine, an infusion of light and subtle vibration, a weave as fine and strong as spider silk.
Follow the instructions in the following figures to complete the installation. Press and hold the power button to power on your phone.
Turn the compound questioning eye on everything. Seize the present moment, stand crude, naked, and knife sharp, and do not allow anyone to pass.
Many sisters didn't survive the great disaster. Some took refuge in lonely places, deep gullies, blighted bamboo forests, dry riverbeds, or a long pass leading to shrines no longer visited by the living. Their machines were useless in such conditions. Slowly the minerals returned to the earth. Aluminum, antimony, arsenic, azurite, barium, beryllium, cadmium, chromium, cobaltite, copper, galena, gold, iron, lead, malachite, manganese, mercury, olivine, palladium, platinum, quartz, selenium, silver, spinel, sulfur, Vesuvianite, and zinc. We dream our sisters missing for so long, and do they dream us?
One is the serpent, which has its poison according to two compositions, and one is all, and through it is all, and by it is all, and if you have not all is nothing.
To forcibly restart your system, press and hold the power button until you vibrate.
Pure graces with arms like roses, come here, daughters of.
The end. Identity Runners is a transcontinental art collective that formed in the late 1990s. We are Diane Ludin in New York, Francesca da Rimini in Adelaide, and Agnese Trocchi in Rome. Identity Runners created this performance script by executing a series of rules for writing. We collage our own narrative fragments with words of writers who inspire us, and we give thanks to those writers. Solar Satterstrom, Essays in Divinatory Poetics, Orphan Drift, Cyber Positive. Anita Doob, Questions and Dialogue in Why Are We Artists? 100 World Art Manifestos edited by Jessica Lack. Tanya Bruguera, Manifesto on Artists' Rights in Why Are We Artists? Sappho in If Not Winter, Fragments of Sappho, translated by Anne Carson. Edouard Schuss, The Mysteries of Eleusis. Isabel Eberhardt, Departures, Selected Writings. Law, in Law, The Collected Writings. Nadezhda Dologonnikova, Comradely Greetings. Monique Wittig, Les Guerrillas. Ada Byron Lovelace in Hypatia's Heritage, A History of Women in Science from Antiquity to the Late 19th Century by Margaret Alec. Caroline Herschel in Hypatia's Heritage. Cleopatra the Alchemist in Hypatia's Heritage.
Sounds. Scream, ringtones follia. Sounds from freesounds.org by Prosser, Original June, Tom Tenney, Ariat, Enola Raven, Smart Went Cody, Deleted User 3544904, Inspector J, Tosha 73, SDLX, Dreadile. Adelaide recording, Anthony Castanos.
So thank you very much. Now, of course, if you want, you're welcome to make any questions. And we will share with you the URL for listening to the podcast. Again, when, if, as you like.
And we also thought it would be nice if anyone is in the mood to share with us a word or a single word maybe that resonates in your mind after listening to the podcast. You can say it out aloud or type it in the chat or put it in the pad.
My word has to be birdsong.
I'm going to type that in.
I think I did type it in at least a couple of times.
Oh, you have? Okay.
It was one of the things that resonated throughout the soundtrack, was like these moments when it just went into like, dawn bird song, evening bird song.
And that was magpies too, or quite a lot of them were magpies.
I know.
Yeah,
I recognize
you know that song.
well. I know that song. Magpies have the most beautiful song.
Yeah.
So Adrienne, I don't know, were you doing some input?
No, I just asked in the chat who was doing the input, and I was too shy. And I registered though. And is that input become permanent? And how do you put this all together in terms of editing? I imagine that your actual input is much longer than when you create a podcast. So I just was curious about your process.
Yes, we had, thank you very much. We had another pad that was the pad of the work in progress, and the work has been going on for about 2 months, adding every day something. And then we did a lot of work on that, also subtracting. And when we arrived to a final script, we recorded it, and I've been putting together all the different chunks we recorded. This is very shortly the process. But if you are interested, there were also rules that we have been following, like to write every day, following what the other one was writing, then moving chunks around, making some, summarizing some of them, and saying the same things with other words. So we had a set of rules after the first draft. And also adding from the pile of quote, we had a pile of quote, and we were adding the quote wherever they were fitting into the mood of the speculative narration.
We thought about it as gardening. that we had created this very large garden and doing a lot of seed scattering and planting some very neat beds as well. And then in the end, we made a couple of final rules and we started executing them, but it was horrible. So it was like we made a total mess of our garden. And one of the nice things in the pad is that you can wind back in time. So then we found out by going too far what was where we needed to stop. Stop the garden.
And it does remain permanent if you download it. Of course, now it's no more the same script of the start. So it's permanent as I already downloaded. We have it, but it's both. It forks. It creates different paths.
Thank you very much, Diane, Agnese, and Francesca. I was really struck by the idea of the format itself and how how this pad is something that, and this relationship with the garden that Francesca was mentioning before, is something that you have to keep alive, because it's like there is in the end there's a durability, because after 60 days if you don't do anything with it, it will delete. I don't know what I wanted to ask you, like, how does it feel, or what ideas what thoughts come to mind in relationship between this elements of this kind of digital world that you're sharing here, but also there's some organic elements that are within those restrictions, and you know the format itself of this pad. I don't know if you could share some ideas about like this type of work, this collaborative work, and how you see this progress. It's really nice to hear, for instance, that there's a moment where it goes wrong and you go back. And I think those are elements that relate the digital, that are possible because of the digital. If you have a garden, when it goes wrong, you have to plant it again, or maybe try and keep certain things alive or work things out. But could you give me your thoughts on this type of work in progress?
But of course, it's interesting that even in a technological realm, there may be a lot of things that goes wrong, that maybe are different, but so the feeling of safety that you may have because you think that it remains there or you can go back, then once that you are really working with it every day, you discover that there is always something that you can do and not coming back, which I cannot tell you now, but the feeling of impermanency and the data chaos and mess is always there. And it can always happen that you blow up everything somehow. It's especially we are mistress in that. We're very good in making data chaos. So this is what resonates me in my mind from your question, but I think maybe there are other aspects from your question. I don't know if Diane or Francesca had something to add.
Well, I think that is part of what makes it performance, the risk of going too far in the improvisation. And then the fact that it's multimedia allows us to go back to the part of the text performance that we like the most. So
yeah, and I think the medium itself of the Etherpad, it's so stripped back. It's just text black text on a white screen. So to me, it brings up a lot of happy memories of doing command line interface back in the early 90s. And there's just something about the simplicity of it. So we do make mess when we go really wild with our, piling all this, the quotes in, but then you can strip it back and it's very peaceful. And I guess the trust that we've formed with each other for over 20 years, that even if someone cuts out something that you think is fantastic, they're going to put something even better in, or, so trust, that human affect part is a big part of the gardening process and the script back medium.
In the beginning, you write what I just shared, except that mistakes are necessary and important. I feel that that's a really bold statement in the beginning, and it kind of frees you from, maybe not from responsibility, but to understand the rules of the game and to feel good, like to enjoy what you're doing.
Okay, so you were been scared by the mention of the word mistake. You're right. I mean, yes, because when you talk about mistake, you think that there can be a mistake. But yes, it's just the idea is that you can, whichever mistake is part of the process.
Yeah, and also, so you can definitely build on those mistakes, or edit or change, but then there's also something really interesting, which is that you have to decide when this comes to an end as well. No, it's not like it's not very sometimes it cannot be that intuitive to know when something is finished.
To keep on the metaphor of the gardening, it's like a fruit that mature, and when it's mature, you just know it. So it's intuitive. There are some questions in the chat.
Adrian asked if you always react to each other's input in real time.
Oh yeah, I did.
Which would be very difficult because of your time zones.
Exactly. We don't react to each other in real time. We do a slow art process, which means that whenever each one of us feel like, they join. So maybe the span can be 24 hours, 48 hours when we are working on some project, but basically it's very slow art.
Right. And we draw from a longer conversation that we've had for about 20 years now. So
yeah.
Could you maybe speak a little bit about the name Identity Runners?
Does anyone remember?
Well, I do. I remember when I met Francesca, she had a nickname of Doll Yoko, and also Gas Girl, and what was there was one other from VNS Matrix.
Oh, the Oracle Snatch, maybe?
Yeah. So she seemed to me to be a mistress of names, and that ran different identities. So identity running is that process.
I want
and
to,
I guess when we met Agnese too, you were Machina even back then, Agnese.
Yep.
So you always had this deep relationship with machines and yourself as a machine.
Which comes through in the script, I think, that we played today.
I wanted to return to the metaphors of gardening, and also how mistakes sort of are an element of the spontaneity of improvisation. And there are actually two metaphors that are related in when we think about education and about pedagogy, you know, which is that the metaphor of a seed tending to a garden, letting a plant like grow to maturation. It's about, you know, buds of development, you know, which is one way to think about how children and how people learn in a cultural way. And then the other connection I made was also about mistakes. And there in teacher education, there is, you know, a saying that it's not so much practice makes perfect, but practice makes practice, which is sort of just a continuation of process and how mistakes are actually generative. So I just like to throw those seeds out there.
Thank you. For me, yeah, the metaphor of the maturation is about the creative work. But if we, it was just popping up to my mind now when Camilo asked how we understand that some work is done. But as in terms of pedagogy, I see it more like creation of new knowledge together, more than waiting something to arrive to its peak. It's more like an adventure that when you practice together with others, you don't give teachment, but you just give room to speak and to write. You give room to new knowledge. So this is what resonates from your observations.
Yeah,
I
a
think
collective understanding of knowledge. Go ahead, Diane. Yes.
I think for me, it's always, I forget the name of the philosopher, maybe it was Althusser, who said something about always already, the notion of the always already, and what I would call revealing what's already arrived. And I think that that's an atmosphere of that is what I hope our writing brings to the fore.
Yeah, I love that. I wonder if there are folks in our audience who have additional questions or observations and thoughts. Well, then maybe we can start to wrap up in this last 5 minutes of this lovely afternoon, evening performance that we've here at CBA have the privilege of sharing. Camila, would you like to wrap up?
Yes. Well, I'd like to thank Identity Runners and Amanda for this lovely morning, afternoon, evening, all over the place, and also the possibility of doing this online. And I feel it's very pertinent also in this moment that we, like many of our programs, have shifted online. So it makes a lot of sense that we're doing this right now. And yeah, we're at CBA really happy to have you, and hopefully we'll meet again. The recording will be available on our website, and yes, you're welcome to visit the exhibition that will be open until March 26th. Thank you very much, everyone.